Hi everyone, it's Josh Keeley, Recruitment Director at Trident Search. I'm joined today by our guest, who is Nick Holden, a Senior Recruiter at Recorded Future. Nick, welcome. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Josh. Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm good. I'm coping. I'm coping in lockdown. No, it's good. It's starting to get busier.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think for people juggling the kind of work and home life balance, I think it's an interesting time for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those, I suppose, that don't know you, Nick, if you could just introduce yourself, also talk a little bit about who you are, your background, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So Nick Holden, been in cybersecurity recruitment predominantly for the past kind of 4 years. Previously to that, I spent kind of 12 years in retail, kind of worked my way up from university, got into kind of senior retail management, and then had kids as kind of the natural next step after buying a house and having a dog. And then decided to kind of look for a new career path. So went into IT services sales, did that for around about 2 years, and then got a call from my director at my previous agency. Fell into recruitment, as most people do, Josh.
We all do, yeah, don't we all? Here you are 4 years later. So you're currently obviously a Recorded Future Senior Recruiter. Tell us more about that. What's your role, I suppose, at RF? Are you by yourself in the UK? Is it wider? Obviously, you're a global business. Tell us a little bit more about your role and I suppose a bit more about RF, I suppose.
Yeah, certainly. So at Recorded Future, I focus on the recruitment across EMEA and APJ. We have futurists in the likes of the UK, Sweden, Singapore, UAE. The US is obviously a big hub for us, where our headquarters are based, and then we've got people in France, Germany, Spain, Australia, India, South Korea. So we're truly a global business. So my days are varied. So some days I could be up as early as kind of 6 a.m. to speak to candidates, and then late calls with the US. But yeah, as part of a team, I'm kind of responsible for speaking across all disciplines globally. So focusing on sales, pre-sales, the technical roles in our R&D center in Sweden. At the moment, it's just myself on the recruitment outside of the US. So we've got a team of around about 5 or 6 based out of Boston. So yeah, it's exciting times, and no 2 days are the same as we kind of look to build this kind of inclusive and diverse workforce that we're building at Recorded Future.
And I suppose obviously the elephant in the room is obviously COVID, and we're all obviously in the same situation together. How is it? I suppose I'm guessing from your point of view, being a senior recruiter at RF, you've got a team in Boston. You've got plans. Let's go back to January, right? You've got plans at the start of the year to grow. You've got this headcount that you want to hit based on revenue figures and things like that, right? As we all know, Recorded Future, huge vendor, and within threat intel. What's the impact of that that COVID's had, I suppose, is my question. Have you been hit quite hard in the sense of having to put everything on hold, or how have you found it?
Yeah, I think for me personally, for hiring, of course, it's had an impact. We had certain growth plans at the start of 2020 that were built on a forecast that naturally they didn't include COVID. I think whilst at the end of kind of 2019, COVID started rearing its head, it wasn't kind of where we kind of saw it go in February and March. So the number of roles that we were actively hiring naturally slowed down as the business kind of took a stock of the volatility in the marketplace and where the global economy was going. Thankfully for me as a recruiter, we kind of continue hiring, but for key strategic positions, because our growth plan has been very conservative as we look at Recorded Future across the last kind of 11 years. We've done things in a way that we know can build the business safely and securely. So it's been interesting. I think the cybersecurity marketplace in general, I think organizations are still looking at how the pandemic is going to pan out in terms of the marketplace and the financial kind of backbone. If we look at the UK, I don't think we've necessarily seen the extent of unemployment yet. I think we'll probably see that in the next kind of 3 to 4 months as furlough begins to end. And then we truly understand how many organizations are going to take their staff back. Me personally, I work from home kind of 3 or 4 days a week anyway, so nothing much has changed in my kind of work schedule or how I kind of go about building my daily routine.
I was just going to say, where are you based? So you're in the West Country, aren't you?
Yeah, West Midlands, yeah. So a little town called Stourport-on-Severn, probably about 20 miles outside of Birmingham. The commute into London, obviously at the moment we're advised not to go on public transport, so we don't know when that's going to end. So yeah, my kind of life now is just balancing kind of candidate meetings, internal meetings, and then teaching my kids as much as I can. Although my knowledge of Key Stage 1 maths is fairly limited, Josh.
We've all seen your fancy dress costumes during homeschooling, keeping it keeping it interesting,
keeping it entertaining for the kids, I think. But yeah, I do have a nice collection of fancy dress costumes from my retail days that I like to get out for the kids.
With Recorded Future, then, and I'm trying to put myself in. I'm someone looking to work for a big global threat intel vendor, and at most of the positions that you have been hiring for through this period has been more business critical, like you said, strategic, more must-haves as opposed to nice-to-haves because we want a bit of business. Is that more the case?
Yeah, if you kind of look on the sales side, for example, it'd be where there's pipeline or where there's an opportunity to grow a business. If you look on the kind of professional services, it's where we have customers who perhaps need the kind of the technical resource. So it's all about making the right decisions at the right time. And that works not only for the company but also for the candidates. The last thing we would want to do as an organization is bring someone on board that we don't have an opportunity for them. Sure. And then kind of look 3 months down the line where, in the worst case scenario, where the market doesn't play as much of what we want it to, then it creates tough conversations, and we don't want to be put in that position.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot candidates that have been already in the interview process, let's say March, April time, have been kind of not, I suppose, strung along or have been held, just kind of been put on a pause, kind of like wait and see, sort of like that holding pattern. Or if they've had offers already, then it might have just been pushed back to later on in the year. I completely get that. You don't want to start a process now. To have to put on hold or have those tough conversations, right? Away from COVID, then back to threat intel, back to hiring in the vendor space, I suppose. What challenges are you seeing? Forget about the COVID element to it, but even like last year, for example, are you seeing trends in terms of challenges like headcount, lack of talent coming through the academic route, or too dominant in the military route, or is there any particular trends that you're seeing there or challenges that you're facing?
No, I think that the biggest challenge we're currently facing at the moment in recruitment is kind of and I kind of refers back to the COVID situation a little bit, is enticing candidates away from their current environment.
Sure.
A lot of people at the moment are very kind of safe and secure. If they've been there in their kind of role for 3-4 years, then they're kind of looking at, is now the right time to take a new opportunity, which I completely get. If we as an organization are looking at how kind of markets are purchasing software, candidates are looking at the marketplace in terms of opportunity, thinking, is now the right time for a career move? And obviously, I'm going to say at Recorded Future, given the growth we've kind of seen over the last few years, we're going to say now is perfect the right time, but we need to make sure it's right for us and right for the candidates. And I think that's part of the recruiter having those open, honest conversations and getting to understand what the candidate's on the market for and what they're looking for. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to waste the candidate's time as much as we don't want to waste our time. Cybersecurity in general, I think we need to get on the curriculum sooner. So kind of touching on the university side, I don't think we're doing enough in schools to kind of combat or get cybersecurity on the agenda from an early age. The younger generation now, they're starting to get more involved on the internet. If you look at my two, they're 7 and 9. They're on PlayStation, they play Roblox, they're on Netflix, on Disney Plus. It's interesting to see how they interact with the internet and the opportunities of threats that kind of come to these guys. So if we can start getting the cybersecurity on the agenda from an early age, then the hope would be once they get to kind of key stage 2 higher education that they already know about cybersecurity. So they're already kind of speaking the kind of language that you and I are speaking to candidates about. So it becomes a natural progression to see it as a career.
Does RF already have like the links into the universities? I'm guessing the US is quite solid there, like with the vets programs and the military programs, the university graduate. Are you slowly seeing that or building those programs, those pipelines in the UK as well and across EMEA?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, across EMEA, definitely. So we've got close links with Chalmers University in Sweden. We're kind of actively looking now for a kind of PhD placement all around kind of natural language processing. In the UK, for example, we have our employee resource groups. That's a big part of kind of helping people, especially in the services, kind of make that transition. So I know in London, we've got half a dozen kind of members of the team who are ex-military. So kind of drawing on those kind of futurists when we have someone who is ex-military looking to take the next step and being part of the interview process. So if they have questions about how are they kind of aligning to the commercial service, how are they kind of, exactly. And just kind of helping them in every step along the way. So it is something that we're looking at. And again, as we grow within the UK in particular, I think we will start looking at how we can interact more with universities, because at the moment the team in the UK is around about 40 people. So as we grow and we have more resource, then we allow us to develop the time to that.
Yeah, wider scope and wider reach and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
if I am a military service leaver, or I am a graduate looking for a role, or even someone who's looking to take a step, I'm a CTI professional and I'm currently working an end user organization. What's the advice you have? Again, it's quite broad, obviously. If someone wants to work for Recorded Future or a vendor of that, is there any particular approach that they can take, or what do you really look for, and what kind of advice?
I think the biggest advice I would say is kind of speak to people who've done it in the past. So speak to people who are already at a vendor. So look on LinkedIn. It's very easy to track someone's career path from LinkedIn, and kind of see who has made that transition from the military through to a vendor like ourselves. And don't be scared to kind of put yourself on that pedestal and reach out to them. Most people, especially in these times, are happy to have conversations, to help people. In sales in particular, obviously you have to be kind of forthcoming and put yourself out there outside of your comfort zone. Going to events, going to conferences, having conversations with the right kind of people, and playing that kind of waiting game and making sure you're looking for the right opportunity. That's a big one. Don't just jump into the first opportunity because it gets you in the marketplace, because you may waste 12, 18 months of your career in an opportunity that's not right for you. And then I think from the CV point of view, I think CVs are great. But part of what we look for at Recorded Future is not only the kind of the education and the experience that people have in terms of kind of qualifications, but also the cultural aspect. So the stuff that you can't see on a CV, such as kind of people's attitude, their personality, their drive, their hunger. And that all becomes evident when you have relationships and when you start speaking to people. So the biggest thing I would say is, look, put yourself out there and speak to as many people as what you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. And then just lastly, we will let you go, the CTI industry as a whole. So when we look to the future and a look ahead, no particular sort of time frame or 3 to 5 years or anything like that, but what do you think it looks like? Obviously, I'm guessing, having been at RF for a while, you've seen the trends. Do you think we're going to go more of an automated kind of platform focused threat intel industry, and more away from the RFIs that the analysts respond to and things? Or have you seen anything? Or I'm sure you've got internal conversations with people at Recorded Future about this and the direction you're taking with R&D in Sweden, for example.
I think automation is going to be a big thing. Automation is already happening. If we look at even outside of cybersecurity, you've kind of got the RPA, the robotic process automation marketplace, where procedures and kind of applications are becoming much more automated in terms of helping themselves kind of develop. And I think cybersecurity, it can't get away from that. Organizations now, they don't necessarily have the kind of large budgets that they can spend on a team of 50 SOC analysts or a team of 50 vulnerability experts. So they need to kind of understand the information straight away. I think in cybersecurity in general, we're going to see a lot of consolidation in the marketplace. I think the likes, you see acquisitions now by like Cisco. I think the likes of Google, Amazon, they're going to start building portfolios of kind of security technologies that they can offer an holistic view to kind of security. And I think a lot of organizations are going to go down the managed services route as well. So having an organization that can manage their complete security infrastructure. The TI marketplace in particular, I think we're starting to see a lot more organizations embrace threat intelligence. Organizations now, especially if you think that workforce went from kind of being localized in an office to kind of being dispersed throughout country in the kind of 24, 48 hours, which creates a lot of points of entry to a network. So being able to control that and being able to predict where your potential vulnerabilities can be before they actually happen is a big point.
Absolutely, yeah. And that attack surface is changing, right? It's expanding on a daily basis for everybody that keeps remote workers, and especially look to the future as well, if people aren't going to be coming back into the office as often as before, right? Because why do you need to if you can still be, the output can still be quite high remote and happy days. Okay, that's awesome. Nick, thank you for joining us on the Trident Talks. Really appreciate it. Hopefully it's been of some use to the viewers. I know it has been for me, just to get an insight into what's life like inside of a big global TI vendor, what you look for, the challenges you're facing, not just necessarily with COVID, obviously what the plans are, and also the global reach that you have as a vendor. I think it's awesome. Long may it continue. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate it. Thanks, Nick.
Cheers, Josh. Appreciate it. Thanks.